Howdy, y'all. Every time. It's always different. My tarot people. So, this is the forecast for the beginning of the week. I will be doing segments of the week. I'll probably be doing 2, maybe 3 segments. I think that'll work better in my schedule. It's just I had so much time I was able to do it every day, and that's great, but now I have less time and I'm doing more things. And as much as I would love to come to you every single day and spend 20 minutes recording and then uploading and doing all that needs to be done, I simply don't have time. Because, I have to get back to adulting. Took my hiatus, my sabbatical from sanity and reality and adultness. And now here I am, back again. Back to adulting. Actually, I would say I didn't quite go back to childhood. I went to cat. Cause, meow. Meow? And then we have Daisy here. I'll show you guys. She's old. Very old. Yes. And she's not very, yeah. She's a little faster. Yeah. Yeah? She's the original protector. Yeah. Let's put you down. She's going on I got her when I was 7, and she was maybe a year old. So she's just getting up there. I'm almost 30, so shit. You do the math. I don't have the brain power right now. So let's light some sage. Burn that motherfucker. Oops. Maybe I'm still a little childish. I don't feel like losing it. Oh, Violet's here too. Oh yeah, we got cat competition going on here. Hey, both of you guys just chill out. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today is when you realize that you have maybe treated someone else with less than respect or less than a appropriate reaction, any kind of action where you might have done something shitty, crappy, whatever to another person, and we all do it because we're all humans, and that's the shadow side of us, is not a great person, and that's why we're so afraid. We're afraid to embrace the shadow of ourselves, like somebody was talking about. I was listening to a cast earlier. The shadow side is they used to say, oh, he's afraid of his own shadow, and it used to be this wimpiness, or this, oh, they're just so scared, they're just, ooh. And I feel like we all experience that that point in our lives where we're so meek and timid, because we're afraid to embrace the strength qualities in ourselves. And the strength qualities in ourselves can be deemed as somewhat negative or jerk-like, and can be expressed in a way that is over the top, which then becomes, a really negative experience with yourself or someone else. And a lot of times it really comes out when we start drinking and or like, altering our mind state in some way. If we've been holding it in for a very long time. And a lot of people are really afraid of exerting and being assertive, that it comes out in an aggressive way. Because assertion is never a bad thing. It's not. It's really not. It's okay to draw boundaries and borderlines. I think we've talked about this several times. But, um, you know, so when you come off and you've made a faux pas, when you have done something to another person, and you have justified it in your mind that it was the right thing to do because someone else did it to you in the past, and you're just passing along what was done, the karmic, whatever. No, 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 no. Gotta stop that cycle. Stop the cycle of karma. You know, and yeah, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna have to admit. You're gonna have to admit that I was wrong. I did something that was a shitty thing to do, and I'm really sorry because nobody deserves to have that shitty thing to do. I know because I've had it done to me, and I passed it along carelessly, and I fully take responsibility and apologize for my actions. I mean, you can steal that, or you can think of your own. I mean, definitely everyone wants to deliver it in their own fashion. But it's just one of those things where I think that that's a lot of the nature of, when someone does something to us. It's not necessarily, and a lot of it is in relationships, one-on-one with other people, but it's not necessarily because that person is a bad person. It's because, we've had something done to us, and we feel like now it's like we get this rotten egg dropped on our doorstep, and we don't want to keep it. We want to pass it along to the next person. We're like, here, you take it. It's like hot potato, I don't want the karma, and just toss it off. But why do we want to give that to the next person? Like, why do we want to pass along that rotten egg? That's not. That's. Ugh. We need to squash that and toss it in the trash. Get rid of it. You like my piggies? This is like the second time I'm able to stick my hair in pigtails. It's getting longer. So, tangents. Um, let's stop passing that rotten egg. Let's just stop it. And it's hard. It's hard to admit and to be that person that says, you know what, I fucked up. I did a bad thing. I took something that someone did to me and I did it to you, even though I knew how much it was a shitty thing to do to somebody. And I didn't feel good doing it, but I did it anyways because I made an error in my judgment. And that's important, to acknowledge errors in judgment and to make reparations and apologize to other people, because how does somebody ever know that you're actually not a shitty person, or that you didn't mean that shitty thing that you did, if you don't apologize and say, you know what, I did a shitty thing, I was wrong, I apologize, I am not like that, that is not who I am, I'm actually a really decent person, and I hope that you see that in me, because I don't want to come off like a shitty person. Let's see how many times we can say shit in this podcast or video or whatever. I like to call it a podcast, even though it's not really. It's like a video on YouTube, a YouTube video. So, on to the cards. I think it's, I guess an adult thing to do to own up to your mistakes. I think too many times we fast forward to the adult part without, acknowledging the middle murkiness of everything, where we kind of have to you know, we have to go through a transition, basically. Like, that's what, um, you know, fuck. That's why middle schools and high school is so awful, god awful. We're all just trying to figure out how to, like, be an adult with all this, you know, expectation put upon us, but yet we still have a mentality of a childlike behavior, or like our urges of, you know, wanting to act childlike. I feel like in my experience, I definitely repressed a lot of that childlike behavior when I realized I was supposed to be a woman, you know, and I have these boobs now, and people are staring at my boobs, and that means something different. I'm no longer this, like, you know, innocent child where I can just go and play and be, but I'm like this, like, being of sex now, and, you know, it especially hit me hard because I tend to exude this sexual, you know, nature, and it does, I think it does come along a little bit with being a mystical person, a mystical being, because there's like this um, intrigue, or I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I haven't really figured it out quite yet. I've been working on it though. Um, it's just like, you know, you push all that aside because you're supposed to be an adult now, and you're supposed to be all mature and making the right decisions, but you can't make decisions worth crap because you don't know fucking anything. And then you're trying to exert these opinions and these, you know, things onto other people that, you know, they don't know anything either, and then everybody's just passing around the rotten eggs like a hot potato. It's a mess. It's a mess. So it's important to, I think, to embrace the transition, to embrace not feeling 100% confident all the time, and knowing that it'll change, and knowing that you're just trying to figure out and find yourself, and not taking that anger and frustration um, of not understanding out on other people, because that's really the most important part, is that nobody else is responsible for your experience and your shortcomings and your pitfalls, but we tend to blame other people for things that are we're going through. Now, you know, there are certain things that we can take people to, you know, task for, because it's important to not let people mistreat us, and, you know, and not let them blame it on our transition, our misunderstanding, our madness. But then there's also our own responsibilities of how we are and how we act and what we do, that we take, you know, full responsibility for, in the fact that we are in control of our own, you know, destiny, and what we do in life, and how we treat other people. And there it goes. And, you know, sometimes people won't take responsibility for their actions, and, you know, and no matter how hard you how much you point out to them how wrong they are, they may just, you know. And so then you just kind of have to be like, all right, well, this is where our paths don't continue on together. So, you know, bye. I mean, it's a tough thing. It's tough. It's, you know, because then there becomes an imbalance, you know, where, oh God, we're already up to 14. I've been rambling on, but I guess we're only doing it a couple of times a week, so I guess that's cool. um, Maybe I'll do like 2 card readings and like a middle, like, just talk. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out the details, I promise. But um, you know, it's just like, yeah, there's an imbalance when it comes to like somebody, you know, you could continue on with a path with somebody where you guys are not on the same wavelength, but you're really forcing it, or you're trying hard because you have, you know, your emotional attachments as friends, and I think it's okay to, like, be apart from a friend and still be a friend, in a sense where you can like maybe pick back up with them later, and maybe not. That's just kind of the nature of the game, because not everybody's going to be, on the wavelength that you are, and not going to improve, or they're going to improve maybe more than you, or it's really this like windy concoction of things. And so holding on to attachments is one of my biggest lessons, especially in like um, the way that I love. It's difficult to let go sometimes, and even when it's gone even past the point of like, why, you're just like, why am I still feeling like this? But it's this this projection of this like false future that you put in your mind, and you're like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be, and this is how it has to be, because otherwise I'm going to lose my shit or lose my mind, because I've already prepared myself for this. And then it's not lining up, and then you're like, why isn't it like this? And then you have to adjust your sails as you go, and that's a difficult thing, especially for a lot of people who tend to have um, fixed signs in their chart, because it's a very difficult thing to move. Sorry, there's a little pop-up thing. So since it's gonna shut down in like 14 minutes, let's get to the cards. But it's definitely difficult sometimes to let go of things. That doesn't mean you're a worse person than another person. That just means you have a different timeline for your the way that you are, and the way that you express and understand things. But it is important to move forward. So we have the Three of Wands in reverse, we have the Princess of Pentacles reversed, we have Death and Rebirth reversed, and we have the Five of Pentacles upright. So there might be somewhat of a left out or um, desolate slight feeling going on. Now, sometimes the Five of Pentacles can also be like a door. So, a door into the warmth, into the prosperity, into the fire, into, you know, the into a more supported feeling. We have the Three of Wands, which can talk about, um, you know, a stall in something, or maybe a resistance, because it usually goes forward into the Four of Wands, which is a very stable feeling. And when it's when it's reversed, it can point back to the Two of Wands, which is like a hesitation to move forward or to get started. It also, I've also read it and seen it interpreted as wishes coming true, and I can see it in a sense where like maybe there's something that you are there's a resistance to moving forward of like something that you've wanted, because maybe it's not exactly what you thought it would be like or look like. It's definitely an action, a resistance to action, or a resistance to something happening. That's what I'm getting here, because we have the Five of Pentacles, and so you're kind of like resisting going in. You're resisting that hot potato of rotten egg. I don't know. um, we have the Princess of Pentacles, which is the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So it's like this confusion of like this practical working idea, and like maybe you're contemplating. There's a death rebirth. Maybe you're contemplating changing a job, but you're like worried that you're going to be not finding um, something that will support you the same way, or that you'll, you'll not make enough money to live, or the change in career is maybe slightly a risk, something new, something different that you're not used to trying, and you're a little insecure that you're going to be able to make it possible to be successful at it. um, and with this death and rebirth card in reverse, I think it's definitely resisting a change. But this is I think it's going to be a really good change. um, I think it's going to be something that's going to take you out of a place of feeling like you are alone and desolate, and maybe you need to maybe you do need to make an amends of something and apologize to somebody, or admit. The page is always someone who's it's a young energy of practicality. Maybe it's, you have to admit that you may have not gone on the right path to begin with of something, or you started and it just wasn't really working, and you were going off and you were headstrong about it and you were just doing it. And I've also heard the Three of Wands being blown up in the water, kind of. The ships came in but they blew up, and you're like, that didn't even go. So maybe it's a redirection. It's a redirecting into a more positive, um, uh, safe place. So we have, for the punctuation mark, we have Ten of Wands upright, we have the Six of Pentacles reversed, which makes sense. We have the Nine of Swords, and we have the Hermit reversed. So the Hermit reversed is someone who's coming down off the mountain back into society, and kind of like with their inner wisdom, and it can be a reunion card. So I have a feeling you're reuniting with maybe somebody from your past, or somebody that or that you were friends with, and there's some anxiety there because you're coming back with this new information that you might have had some you might have made some mistakes. You might have said some things, and and coming back and being brave enough to say all that. It's very anxiety prone, because you don't know how somebody will react when you admit you show remorse. But I think that most people are look to it positively, because you're putting a level playing field, in a sense. um, with the Six of Pentacles in reverse here, there can be like this imbalance of equality and practical things. And so um, maybe, and it points back to that Five of Pentacles, so maybe there is a reluctance, in a sense, to balance things, and and there's a lot of things weighing you down, and with this Ten of Wands. And so it's very important to not let the anxieties take a hold of you, and feel like you are stuck, or you're not able to show your true nature, your non-jerkiness. You're coming in and being able to feel like you are all together with with another person, with a group of people, not sitting on a high horse, or high stakes, or at an elevated level, when it's not like that. Being able to admit that you make mistakes shows that we're all human, right? I'm human. I make mistakes. I make lots of them all the time. I don't like to admit it, because I'm a human. Alright. Positive and loving thoughts are instrumental in creating positive, loving relationships. Fear and doubt only serve to create greater uncertainty. Think more about what is right in your relationship and less what you think is wrong. So, you know, take out that Nine of Swords, you know. If you're fearing, you're projecting this fear all over everything, and you don't know what the other person is feeling or thinking, so you could just be already presuming, being presumptuous of stuff, and completely just, you know, and admitting you're wrong about one thing doesn't mean you're wrong about everything. That's actually the thing that I think is the holdup, is because, you know, when people are like, well, I didn't quite get this right, then they feel like their whole credibility is just shot. But that's not true, because when just because you make a mistake in one area doesn't mean that you don't know anything or you're completely like a dumbass. I mean, I'd like to think that I might be a dumbass. So, anyways, dwelling on the past and future keeps me from experiencing the power of now. I make a conscious choice to be present. I accept love now. I'm grateful for your love. You are who you are because of your history. All of it has helped you grow in love and wisdom. Every experience has blessed you in some way. Embrace the past. Forgive anything that needs forgiving. So, yeah, let's forgive. Stop passing that darn rotten egg around, you know? Stop telling me that you're going to shut down, computer. Stop it. Machines. Your love life will transform when you learn to truly love yourself as you are. You are perfect just the way you are. Accept this and you will be amazed by the changes it brings in your life. Trust in the healing power of love. For it is only through love that happiness is possible. Observe all that transpires, but don't get emotionally attached. The storm will clear. You can be of assistance to the ones you love only if you remain positive. So, maybe you need to help other people. Um, you know, be sensitive, be positive, be encouraging to come to a truth or an understanding of things, and be able to, you know, level and connect back again without the struggle or strife in between. So with that, I bid you all adieu, and I hope you have a wonderful beginning of your week. Not too much anxiety, and don't worry. Just because you're wrong about one thing doesn't mean you're wrong about everything. Okay? Alright. Bye.